So yeah, when white played between your two stones, this gives you the fighting advantage. So if you kick and then jump, this was, not only the recommended by the computer, but it's also just to me it looks very easy to see that white's gonna have quite a disadvantage in this area. Is gonna have to run, and while it does, you can continue to attack it and make sure that you can make points from it. Because this would be an ideal situation if you were making all these points and white's making nothing.
Okay.
So this was something that we talked about before in our last one. Let's see. So this was a little surprising to me. When I looked at the situation, I thought that you should scoop the base. And of course, white would be able to get out, but black ended up getting a secure base. And then, we can move on from here, right? We can continuously move on for the game. But
Yeah.
in both instances that we've come to the shape where white got the shape, um, it wanted us to break the tiger's mouth, the computer. And I can see why this is a good move, right? You're getting on top of white, and so you're taking the outside influence, which makes a lot of sense. To me, I thought it made this move very obvious for white to take. But the computer is fine with this, because white's really small and black's taking the outside influence. So something like this would be really nice. So
Okay.
something I learned from this shape is because this shape doesn't happen too often. It happens often enough. Usually we see this one, right?
Yep.
Um, but once we see this shape, the computer highly recommends breaking the tiger's mouth. So I thought that was pretty cool. I definitely learned something myself from this.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, can you see why like this move is affecting kind of the more important side compared to this one right now?
Yeah, I guess I did it. Like I don't expect people to play that Q2, so I guess I don't have a proper response for it.
Yeah, this happened twice in the game, and like I said, it became apparent to me that I was like, oh, this is the dominating move here, breaking the tiger's mouth. Because once
Yeah.
we allow white to make the tiger's mouth, we're at a disadvantage, right? And so we have to fix, right, in some manner. And this allows
Yeah.
white to escape very easy. And black didn't really gain too much here. Right now, these stones aren't meant for building a large amount of territory. Right now, they're mainly meant to have influence on the outside, reduce this area, and put a lot of pressure on this group. Um, and so and I guess instead of worrying about the safety of these stones, right, if we allow white to play something like this or even something like this, um, these stones are really high up, and so they don't need to have a base per se. But anyway, yeah, so this was new for me anyway. Like I said, I would have played here and just been happy taking a secure corner. But something new to look at, so it's pretty cool. And I think this situation is going to happen a lot against double digit Q players. So I would keep it in mind. Which side is more valuable? Okay, yeah. So let me ask you, which side for black is more valuable? The left side or the right side?
Just for black in terms of like gaining more territory or
Yeah, yeah.
I guess the right side would be easier to secure, but there's more room on the left.
Mm-hmm. In the opening moves, we want to expand as far as possible, right? That's why on our our third move, we make these huge, large extensions, right? Because this is the most value we can get of all time. Much more valuable than, let's say, something like this, right? Or this, or even this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so this is something we should be striving in the opening of the game, which is to stretch out as far as possible. I think in both these games you make a couple of slow moves. I remember specifically, I think it's in the next one, in which allows white to take advantage, right? And this is something we see time and time again with you and Marty, right? Usually Marty takes a quite an opening advantage, And then you just find a way to break something up in the middle game or kill something, and then this allows you to win. But yeah, so we'll talk more about that. But this is one instance of a good example of your judgment of direction of play, right? And which direction should I be choosing? So at the time you played this, but this is very wrong for a couple of reasons. I'm sure you already know that this is only 4 lines, right? Whereas this is much more than 4 lines of
Yeah.
territory, right? Potentially. So already this is, more potential territory. The other thing about this is it's actually threatening this group quite heavily, because if white plays something else, you'll be able to kind of do what you want here. You can play here, 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 but you can really uproot this group and make it very uncomfortable. So this is a double threat move of expanding the most you possibly can and attacking in a really good fashion. But this move also, other than it being the smaller side compared to the two, it's also low, right? And so we have a low stone here, a low stone here, and a low stone here. Have you ever heard that you should have a good balance of high and low stones?
Yeah.
Do you know why having all low stones is bad?
It's just less territory.
Yeah, not only that, but it's very easy to push down, right? If white and shoulder hits you here, are you gonna try and counterattack and allow white to come out or come out? Or are you gonna try and connect to your stone and then allow white to kind of just play something like this, right? You can see that black, maybe white would just play here. It's fine. But you can see that black is only making 2 lines of territory each move, which can be okay, but it feels painful or bad if white's pushing you down, right? Like it would be much better if black was expanding its moyo, right? Not being pushed down. So this was a double reason why this move is like bad, right? One is you already have a group here, and so this area is kind of already claimed a bit. So now we should go for the uncharted land, right? Because it's still very early in the game, so we should be expanding as much as possible. The other thing is everything is too low, and so we don't have a good balance here, which allows white to very easily push us down and make us look crappy. So these are the type of things you should think about when you have this lull, right? This is that passive time where you don't really have an urgent move, so you can think about taking the biggest move. So that's why when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is on a fundamental level very wrong, and so it's a very good lesson to try and consider. Let's see. So this was good. But then again, so this was wrong. This is wrong for a few reasons. Once again, it's just not your biggest extension. So right now you could really put a lot of hurt and pressure on this group. The other thing too is, I think we talked about this in our last lecture or review, was when we have these 2 stones, right, and somebody approaches you, this is wrong. Did we talk about this, or maybe I talked about it with Jason?
What about it is wrong?
So what happens is, normally when we approach, it's like this, right? So it's 1 stone versus 1 stone. Black plays here, and then white can play this or this or this or Tanuki, right, and still be fine. But now, once black has 2 stones here, this is actually a very bad move, because once we kick, it's now black's turn. So now black can rip out the base from under white here, and so now this group is going to have a lot of struggles, and black's going to be very comfortable attacking this and then coming back to wreak its own havoc and make a base. But can you see why white's in trouble after this kick here? Yeah, so this is a very infamously bad idea to approach a 2 stone knight's move here. It's very bad to play this. Of course, this is a pretty high level thing to know, so I mean, it's fine that he made this mistake. But for you, we should find a way to punish this mistake, right? And by playing this, this is much too soft or passive. Remember, we talked about soft moves and hard moves?
Yeah.
Yeah, soft moves don't have any pressure whatsoever on our opponents, so it allows them to do whatever they want. This is a bad idea. We should almost never want to kind of have this feeling where we're playing what would be a gote move. And plus, you're not in any trouble, right? So this is a type of move you would make if you're in trouble, because this two space extension is like a very small amount of points. And it's only meant for like running away or making a base when you're in a dangerous area. But you know, you're not in a dangerous area, right? So this is where you could take advantage of this. So this is a really good move for you to know, because this is going to happen a lot to you, where you have this nice knight move with the corner, and then somebody approaches incorrectly, so now you can punish it severely. This is a very nice combo to know. So once again, this was the same situation, right? And so the computer really valued breaking this up. It just kind of puts white in like a tough spot where his shape is kind of messed up, and it gives you like very concrete influence to the side. So this was the second, example of this, which I thought was, like I said, I learned something from it. I still think your move is pretty good though, but at the same time, yes, this is the move I've been wanting for a long time to attack this, but at the same time, you're flat again. Look at 1, 2, 3. All the stones are low. You're flat as a pancake, and so this is why you are kind of losing this game in general, is because all your stones are low, so you're just not making an efficient amount of points. Moves like this is very slow and not worth a lot. We're in move 29. You should be making moves that are worth at least 8 points or more each move. So when you're making a move that's only worth 4, it's not good. So this is kind of what I saw in both these games, where you were playing just very slow and low, and it wasn't allowing you enough points to win the game. So this was fantastic for you and terrible for white, because white had to come back and fix this area. So white shouldn't have played this kick, right? White should have just played this directly. But once white played this kick, it just strengthened you and then weakened white. So this was very bad for white and very good for you. So now at this point, you played another very, very, very slow move, right? And this is why, like I was saying, this was a big problem for these two games. When we look at, let's say playing something like this, or even playing something like this, which directly attacks white and then helps you build more influence here, compare it to this move, right? What is this move doing?
You're just securing the few points I do have, I guess.
Yeah, it's just defending these two stones, and once again, it's what we call a soft move, right? It's putting no pressure whatsoever on white, which allows white to get the next best move. So you've essentially given white a pass button. It's like if you hit this pass button, and now white can do whatever white wants. So does white do the best thing? I don't know. I mean, this is something. It's putting a lot of pressure on you, and white ended up taking a good result again. But if I was white, I probably would have played here and forced these moves and then come back to make lots of territory, right? Something like this. But anyway, white played over here, so. But ideally, we want to try and stop avoiding making these small, slow, and soft moves, because this is how you're going to lose games against higher players. I've played dozens of like league games where I was just dominating. Like I had a clear win through the game. Like throughout the game, I was having the easiest time, right? And then all of a sudden I just decided to play like one slow move, or one pretty much one slow move. And once white took Sente, the whole game just changed for the next like 20 moves. So I find that, at a higher level, close to Don level, just one of these mistakes will destroy your whole game. It'll just ruin it. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
you're not at that level yet. Double digit Qs can play the worst mistakes and still win their games, no problem. But I just want to emphasize how important it is to consider like moves that are not worth a lot right at this time. Is
Yeah.
very, very important once you reach the higher level. Let's. Oh, this one felt pretty good and normal. This cut was painful, but it was still okay for you at the time. The difference was you shouldn't have played this Atari here. So what this does is we're in a cross cut, and so when you Atari in the cross cut, you're essentially just helping your opponent get stronger, right? And so now white
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to worry about dying here, and then you still have problems. So instead, how would this be better, right? So if we Atari this way, we can now net this group, and even
Yeah.
though black can take the or white can take the stone, we'll be fine, right? We can play something like this, and we took out all the outside influence and sealed white in. You might say, well, what about these Ataris, right?
Mm-hmm.
Couple things we could do. Maybe even if we just come out like this, and even allowed white to take these 4 stones, what we got on the outside is huge compensation, because this is extremely solid and this is weak. This is extremely solid and this is weak, right? And so now we've still gotten a big outside and sealed white in.
Yeah.
And then finally, if we wanted to try and make some wrap up Tetsuji, this is great too, because you can see white looks really stupid right now, right? All these stones are efficiently doing nothing in an empty triangle, and black ended up connecting and saving its stuff, while also having a target to attack. So you could also use the wrap up Tetsuji, which have you ever seen this Tetsuji before? It's pretty nice.
um, no, I'm not sure.
In Chinese, they call it the roll and pack. I've heard it called the squeeze Tetsuji, and I don't know where I saw the wrap up or why I call it the wrap up, but to me, it's like wrapping up a present, right? But yeah, so this is something to look at here, which is to use your advantage. This one you can get from like the Tetsuji book from James Davies, but it's like a false net. It's like a net that doesn't truly trap them in, but it gives you great shape because of it.
Hmm.
But all this Atari does is just help white get a better position.
Okay.
So I was actually very surprised by this B move here. Um, if you played the bamboo and shoot, then it really hurts the shape, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
if he connects out, you still have a lot of advantage here, um, pretty much everywhere, right? You could play
Yep.
something like this, and if he tries to get out, you can cap on top of him.
Yep.
But by playing this move, it just allowed him to fix his weaknesses, so now he's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming this was a misread, but I just should ask. Do you remember what you were thinking at this time here with this move?
Um, I don't know. I was just trying to keep things group separated. I wasn't
Ah,
thinking too much about the outcome of that, I guess.
yeah, yep, yep. Once white Atari's now, there's nothing you can do, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. This looks really weird to me. You needed to separate him from this side because now he can. I just see. Yeah. You need to. I would have separated him on this side and let him come in, because you're so strong here. He's not going to be able to make two eyes in this small area, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is one move I would have done. The other one is you can do this throw in, because you can't play this, right? So you'd have to play this, and then you can kill him here. So a good idea, or a good strategy. This is very similar to the roll impact, right? Where it was very similar to the situation here, where you need to throw in a stone to sacrifice. Although this
Mm-hmm.
one doesn't actually get killed, so never mind. But always be looking for moves that can separate your opponent. But I think we talked in the last one about not making moves where you get separated easily. Well, in this case, you can't. It's the opposite, right? You can separate your opponent very easily. So
Yep.
this would have been nice. In this one, this move actually surprised me. Why didn't you Atari here?
Uh, I don't know. I guess I was worried about being split.
I see. But in this case, you are split, right? You had split from A and B.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So this is very similar to the Romeo Juliet split, the one we talked about, where it's a broken knights move, right? This is one of the best moves you can get in the game for, in this case, white. But so for black, you'd really want to prevent it by Ataring. You can get a really nice position. I was surprised.
Mm.
I'd just make sure to read out your Ataris when you have them, because I think this would have been really good.
Mm-hmm.
So this was actually really interesting, because the most common move I would think is to hit him on the head, right, and like let him keep running this way, and you can come out, right, or it would go
Mm-hmm.
something like this, and you can still keep white separate. So this would have been the most common move. But this was like out of, it was interesting and out of left field, mainly to me because the computer said this was the best move, which I kind of see where it's coming from, but it sure looks a little dangerous. But uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it says this is the best move, so so your move was very similar to the computer's best move. So I was curious what you were thinking here.
Um, I was just trying to get rid of his space, and I
Okay,
was
yeah. So
just went in pretty deep, I guess.
okay, I got you. Yeah, this is a big
Yeah.
area, so you just wanted to break it up. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, the thing that we want to look at, and this was something I was trying to teach you in the handicap game, right? Which is to keep our opponents separated. So by
Mm-hmm.
separating A and B, this significantly weakens B, right? If we look at what the computer wants, which is uh, here, we can see that we're attacking this small white group and keeping them separate from this, right? No matter what white tries to do, it's going to be very difficult to connect to its weak group. And so, what we should always be keeping in mind is, where is white's weak groups? And if he has one, then we should find a way to separate and attack it, right? Um,
Yep.
because if we could kill this, this would be like a game changing, right? This would be almost 1/4 of the board. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, that's what I gotta say about this. And it leads to that idea of always looking for white's weak groups, and also looking for your own, right? If you have a weak group, you should strengthen it. That's an urgent move. If they have a weak group that you can harass, then that's usually an urgent move too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I really like if I was playing the game, I probably would have played this because they're gonna respond in some way. I think maybe they won't, but even so, then you get this nice large knight breaking move, right? And so this would be good. But they're
Mm-hmm.
most likely gonna respond, which is gonna allow us to weaken this group. So, and this was just shy of the mark. I think you were trying to make a base, right, while trying to hurt this group. But now white can play something like this and kind of connect to its top group. So playing low versus a low stone is usually not a good idea. If it was a fourth line stone, then playing on the third line is a very good approach. But when it's a third line stone, we usually don't go lower than that. So we usually stay on the level with them. So white did play an awful move. This was really bad. White should have taken its free move here and then, connected with its group or something. But instead it really cared about these two stones, these are trash stones, right? They have like very little value. They can't escape even if they want to. And so there was no reason whatsoever to play this move. This was really bad, which allowed you to take some advantage back, which was good.
Yeah.
So you were even able to start separating this group, and you made a group here that's gonna live most likely. So this was a good result at the time. This move was bad though, because right now you really need to take your full corner. Once you play here, it allows white to play here, and now white is 100% alive now. And so it's painful to allow white to live so easily. Now you might argue that white can now live with something like this, right? Or at least maybe. Let me see. Actually, it looks like white's still gonna have a hard time connecting to its group, which means that this group is even more in danger, right? Because now it can't even make two eyes if it can't connect to this. So yeah, that's all I can really say. Because this still gets out, right? This gets out. You can play something like, maybe you can just take all the liberties you can get and then come back to start killing this group. I do like this move, but anyway, even if you don't kill this group somehow, you can see that you still take a full corner and it's very comfortable. But yeah, by playing this move, this was it allowed your opponent to get a lot of good free moves against you and then live. So let's see. So this was like one of the last straws, one of the big moments in the game, I thought. Once you play it here, now white can just play here, and now you just dead, right? You just lose all these stones. So this was I think a game changer. I think this is when the score went from like you could have won to now you can't win. So yeah, after that, I felt like this was a lot to talk about already, and nothing else like crazy. It looked like it happened. So white did end up taking the game. But yeah, so definitely some things we can take from this game. One is this is always a nice thing we talked about before, but yeah, when somebody plays between your 5-space extensions, we can kick the crap out of them and start harassing them, and so they're going to have a lot of problems, and you're going to most likely be able to make territory on both sides. That's one thing. This was a new lesson for me, just because I don't usually see this move here like this, so breaking the tiger's mouth is more appropriate than anything else apparently, because one, it hurts white shape, and two, it's helping you build quite a lot of influence on the outside. This is one of the most important lessons of this review, which is how to judge, the importance of like direction of play in the opening moves. If you become better at this, you will by far like outpace people in the opening for quite a while. I don't think a lot of players really understand or get this idea cemented in them until they're like 5 or 3Q. I could be wrong, but I've definitely played lots of 5Qs that still kind of don't get this concept. But you should be looking for especially in the early moves, you should be looking for the biggest territory that you can grab, the biggest extensions, right? So this one is by far more damaging to white and more uh, gaining a lot more in potential territory with this move compared to this one. The other concept is that keeping all your stones low is going to make you lose the game because you're just not going to make enough points. It's really not going to happen if you keep all your stones low. And it happened on both sides, if I remember, which was really bad.
Mm.
This was a really nice technique to learn, which is if somebody approaches your two stones, they're just usually wrong. This is usually not right. So I didn't tell you what the right moves would be, which would be this one or this one. These are two, concepts. I'm not gonna throw a whole bunch of variations at you right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I can show you a resource where you can learn these. Also, you were on the attacking side of this, right? So this is more important to learn at the moment, which is punish this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this would have been really nice, but this is just too soft. It's too low. It's not doing much. This is more just defending your stones more than anything, which it was very wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Same with move 33. It was very similar to this. That's mainly it. And then I guess the last part that I really want to talk about is just a move like this, right? Once again, it's very similar to this move here, which it felt unnecessary at the time. Very slow. It's not worth a lot of points. So we can't try and look for moves like these. We should always be looking for the biggest move. So in this case, this is one of the biggest moves you could do because you can see how damaging it is to these three stones, right? Like I said, if white Tanukis or something, right, and plays somewhere else, then you have moves like this and this, this. So any one of these moves you can see is very damaging to white, right? This would be really good for black. This is really good for black, right? Because you're already like kind of in here. And then if white protected on this side, you could play something like this. And so now this is also really good for black. But anyway. So that's mainly it. Any questions on any of these?
No, I think that makes sense.
Alright, cool. I'll end the recording for this one.